Hi, I'm Lena, and welcome to Super Data JP, the channel where we turn Japan's real estate and cost of living numbers into answers you can actually use. Every video here is built on verified government data, not opinions, and not guesses. Whether you're planning to invest, relocate, or just curious what life in Japan really costs, you're in the right place. Let's get into today's numbers.
Starting this year, some Japan condo buildings can legally require overseas owners to appoint a manager who lives inside the country on their behalf. It sounds like a new mandatory tax on absentee owners, quietly slipped into the law. It isn't quite that simple. Property management fees are one of the most misunderstood costs of owning in Japan from abroad, partly because there are several genuinely different fees stacked on top of each other, and partly because a 2026 law change just added a new one to the list, with real teeth behind it. This is for any non-resident who owns, or is seriously considering buying, a rental property or condo in Japan, and wants to know exactly what they're actually on the hook for every single year, not just the headline number. Start with the fee most owners already know: rental management. A property manager who finds tenants, handles maintenance calls, and collects rent typically charges 5 to 10% of monthly rent. That covers tenant screening, rent collection, maintenance coordination, and lease renewals, essentially the entire day-to-day work of running a rental property from thousands of miles away, without ever setting foot in the building. Bilingual, high-touch service aimed specifically at overseas owners, English contracts, translated statements, faster response times across time zones, often runs above that standard range, and for good reason. Here's where confusion usually starts. That rental management fee is completely separate from what you owe the building itself, whether or not you're renting the unit out at all. Every condo owner pays a management fee, Kanrihi, that runs 8,000 yen to 25,000 yen a month for a standard building, and 20,000 yen to 40,000 yen or more for a tower. It funds day-to-day building operations, common area cleaning, elevator upkeep, shared utilities, and the management company's administration fee, consumed every month, not saved. On top of that, a separate repair reserve fund runs 5,000 yen to 20,000 yen a month, saving up for major repairs that typically come every 12 to 15 years. Most buildings use a staged increase plan. The contribution starts low when the building is new and steps up on a fixed schedule, often every 5 years, as major repairs approach. A low reserve today often just means an increase is coming soon, not that you found a genuine bargain. If the reserve falls short when a major repair actually comes due, the building can levy a one-time special assessment on every owner, commonly 500,000 yen or more, due all at once, whether you saw it coming or not. Stack Kanrihi and the repair reserve together and you're often looking at a substantial fixed monthly cost before a single yen of rental income, management fee, or maintenance call has entered the picture at all, and that's before the building ages into its next staged increase. None of this is negotiable, either. It's set by the building's management association through an owner's vote, applies per square meter to every owner equally, and quietly erodes net yield on paper-thin regional properties far more aggressively than on premium Tokyo units. Now the part that's actually new this year, and the reason this video exists. Japan has roughly 6.9 m condo units nationwide, and the stock is aging fast. About 1.2 m units are already over 40 years old, projected to nearly double to 2.5 m by 2033, a wave of buildings that will need major repair or reconstruction decisions all at once. To address that, a reformed Act on Building Unit Ownership took effect on April 1, 2026, aimed squarely at buildings where absentee and unreachable owners had made basic collective decisions nearly impossible to reach. If a management association can't reach you for 1+ year, it can now petition a court to treat your vote as an abstention, meaning major decisions about your own building can legally proceed without your input, or your consent. Reconstruction votes are also easier to pass. The standard threshold stays at 80%, but structurally deficient buildings now need just 75%, and severely deteriorated ones as little as 67% in some cases. For an absentee owner, that's a real shift. An older building can now vote to rebuild, and legally require you to sell your unit at fair market value, with a smaller majority behind the decision than the law previously demanded. Management associations themselves also face new obligations under the reform, registering with local government, filing annual financial reports, and publicly disclosing the building's long-term repair plan and reserve balance. That's actually good news if you're buying. Reserve health, repair history, and the ratio of owner-occupied to investor units all become easier to verify before you commit, not just after something quietly goes wrong. Which brings us back to that opening claim, the supposedly mandatory in-country manager requirement for overseas owners that started this whole video. The law doesn't mandate this nationwide, and it never did. It simply allows an individual buildings management association to require it, by formally amending that specific building's own bylaws, an opt-in per building, not an automatic national rule that applies the moment you own property from abroad. Where a building does adopt it, this domestic manager gets real legal authority, preserving the unit, approving alterations to the space, and settling shared area debts on the absent owner's behalf when they can't be reached in time. Where it applies, budget roughly 200,000 yen to 300,000 yen a year in added cost, manager's fee, tax agent, and international transfer fees combined. The tax agent piece alone typically runs about 3,000 yen a month, roughly 36,000 yen a year, for filing and paying Japanese income and property taxes correctly on your behalf while you're overseas and unable to file in person. Most non-resident owners end up paying all of this, Kanrihi, the repair reserve, and any in-country manager fee, through automatic debit from a Japanese bank account, or by routing everything through their property manager entirely. Between the voting rights risk and the new reporting duties, a reliable property manager who forwards every notice, attends meetings as your proxy, and keeps your contact details current with the association has quietly gone from a convenience to something close to essential. The most common mistake is budgeting only the rental management fee and quietly forgetting Kanrihi and the repair reserve exist at all, then getting blindsided by a special assessment or a reconstruction vote stacked on top of it years later. Before you buy, or right now if you already own, check your building's actual bylaws for an in-country manager requirement, confirm your contact details are current with the association, and price in Kanrihi and reserve contributions before you ever calculate yield on paper. None of these fees are new in spirit. Japan condos have always carried layered costs stacked on top of each other. What's new is a legal framework that actively penalizes owners who go quiet, which makes simply staying reachable part of the real cost of owning from abroad now. Subscribe for more data-driven breakdowns of living and investing in Japan, and let us know what part of owning property from abroad you want us to cover next.
And that's today's breakdown. If you're serious about real estate or moving to Japan, research like this is exactly what separates a smart decision from an expensive mistake. Subscribe so you don't miss the next deep dive, and drop a comment if there's a city or word you want us to cover next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.